sometimes people are in these situations where they're not enjoying their jobs. They've got a boss who they don't get on with. And I think in that sort of long-term sort of situation where things aren't working well, you have this long-term stress. And I think something like cortisol builds up. Now, can you maybe talk a little bit about sort of cortisol? And also, I saw from one of your talks that if you have autonomy or you create autonomy, then this can help to deal with, say, difficult situations. And I just love that whole idea about, taking control back, because a lot of times people think that they're powerless, but actually there are these small things that we can do. What do you think, Frederica?
Oh, I think that's so important. So stress, when we talk about stress, we need to understand that long-term stress is bad. Short stress is good for us. So anything below 30 minutes is great for us. It helps us to think better. It boosts our immune system. It actually gives us that kick of stress hormones. We need a little bit of cortisol in the morning to be awake and not sluggish. So a little bit of stress is good. And you can actually boost your ability to deal with stressors by exposing yourself to short-term stress. So for example, taking a cold shower, taking an ice bath, a short, intense HIIT training, all these things actually make your brain and body better. So stress per se is not bad. The problem starts when stress becomes chronic and uncontrollable, when it never stops. We have to understand that anything that goes on for longer than 30 minutes is already bad for us. So there's several ways you can go. I would say the point you mentioned is the most important one. We need to take our power back. There was research in mice, a very classical study, where they showed that the mice who received electroshocks without being able to turn them off died, while those who had a little lever and could turn it off survived just fine with the electroshocks. So it weren't the electroshocks per se that killed the mice, it was the fact that they couldn't turn it off. And so we need to find that lever in our lives. We need to find that possibility to reduce stressors. And that can be very hard, because if you live with a toxic person, if your boss is mean to you, if politicians do things you don't want them to do, that can become hard. And so you need to find that one thing you can do to change the situation. That can be something small, it can be something big, but there's always something you can do. And may it be changing your attitude, maybe changing your thoughts, maybe saying no to something. So we need to always ask ourselves, what is one thing I can do right now to improve the situation? And then we need to act on it, rather than putting ourselves into the position of a victim. So it's very hard, but that mindset is life-changing, to always think like, okay, this situation sucks. Okay, what can I do about it? Rather than just going on and on and on and complaining about it, always think of like, how can you get yourself out of it?